Welcome to the channel, guys and girls. I'm finally getting on the video for Hidalgo. Been waiting on parts and trying to get my shop clean, all that. But I'm not starting tonight, I'm starting tomorrow. But I figured I'd give you all a rundown of what's going on. In one of the previous videos I mentioned updating the suspension. So this is everything that's going under Hidalgo in the next day or so. These are Lakewood traction action bars that actually use this bracket right here. I don't know if you can see the holes very well, but they drop the rear of the bar down, get you more bar angle. And I might add these, they're all off my Fox body, but they're not used because I've never driven the car. It was strictly on there for mock-up purposes, I guess you could say. It was all coming off because I'm putting better stuff in its place. But these bars are replacing the BMR cheapo lower control arms. Putting max speeding rod caster camber plates. I know they're a cheaper brand, but these are actually like fairly well built. That's actual billet aluminum, and this is a steel plate and good bolts welded in and everything. These will do fine on the little 140 wheel or 180 wheel horsepower Mustang. Also got some cheap eBay subframe connectors. I know they're not the greatest, but they come with seat mounts that they sit like that, and they'll actually tie the seat into the floor and everything. These cost me, I think, like 60 bucks. They're better than nothing. I've also got just a stock set of like AC Delco OEM replacement shocks for the back of it. Right now, the car is having issues when I leave. The whole thing's going like that. And I'm hoping with 200,000 miles on the chassis, and I think they're the original shocks, I'm hoping these cleared up. Also have a set of Lakewood 9010 drag shocks. Let's see right there. Anything more than what I'm doing with this car, these would not work, but they'll work fine for this. It just helped you at the front end, a little more weight transfer. And then I've got a set of torque box reinforcements. The 79 to 04 Mustangs are bad about ripping those out under hard acceleration, so I wouldn't be surprised if Hidalgo's boxes are actually shot. And then over here on the rear end, this is the rear end you actually saw in a previous video. That's got 456 gears in. This is a Fox body width rear end, because if you ever look at Hidalgo, the tires poke out about that far. This should help pull that in some. I'm 25 days and counting until I head to Bowling Green for Holly Ford Fest and the NMRA True Street class. I'm not expecting to win the class overall, but Hidalgo is a consistent 15-second car, and I'd like to think I stand a chance of winning that one. There's a 30-mile street cruise beforehand, so realistically I'd like to get this car done in the next couple weeks and go and drive it around, make sure everything's good on it, get the posi broke in, just stuff like that. So I'm going to play the intro, and next time you see it, the car will be in here, and I'll be getting started. Alright, so I got Hidalgo in the carport. We're going to start working back to front. We're going to start with the rear end, control arms, torque box reinforcements, and the rear shocks. After that, I'll move to subframe connectors, and once those are done, change front shocks out. I've got about 2 weeks I want to get this done in, so I don't know how long it'll take to get the video posted. You might see it like a day or two after I start. You might see this 2 weeks after I'm done. I don't know yet. But there's a cruise in Roby, Missouri that I intend to go to. Just because I'm racing a True Street class, I want to get a few miles on the setup. So I'm gonna get started and We'll just see how quick it gets done. Okay, so I got the rear end out. This is a new edge width rear end, and this is why I'm going to a Fox body width rear end. In previous videos, you can see that Hidalgo has some tire poke. They stick out like that far. Okay, these sides, they're not perfect, but they're fairly lined up. If we walk over here, that should show you the total width difference between a Fox body rear end and a new edge rear end. This rear end actually doesn't even go to this body style car. It goes to the next body style, the 99. Another thing what I'm doing while I'm in there, I'm changing control arms. These are just the cheap BMR, you know, $100 set of control arms. I am leaving the uppers up there, if you can see them, because this set didn't come with a set of uppers. Now what makes this set special is these are Lakewood traction action bars for 79 to 04 Mustangs. They actually use that little bracket you see right there. That little silver bracket right here. What they do is they drop the control arm down, pushing up on the chassis and planting the tire down better. And since these, and you can't just throw these brackets on with these control arms because your car will squat in the back end. As you can see, these have got kind of the spring perch on these sits kind of low, and this one is elevated to account for the drop in the control arm. And one thing I very highly recommend is to not use these. This is the second set of bushings I put in these, and you can already see they're kind of going to crap. You can get the replacement bushings online, but they're like 50 bucks, and they don't really fit that well. These use good, solid polyurethane bushings in them. And if you use these, make sure you grease this. These little grease fittings are here for a reason. Use them. And another thing, the sway bar mount is angled to account for the angle of the bars. So since that's everything, I'm going to get this car going back together, because there's a cruise-in I'm wanting to make here in about 2 weeks, week and a half at this point. And I'd like to get some test drives in before I drive it 45 minutes one way to a cruise-in. In Hidalgo, but I, and for my infinite wisdom, forgot to put my girdle on it. So, using the power of video editing, I'm going to pop that off real quick And now that that's off, come over here. Clean it up. For the sake of a clean finish, we're going to give it a coat of flash red that is the same color as my Shelby Z, because it's the only color I have laying around. And once that's all finished, install it on the car. Now, since the rear end's in there, and the tire I kind of mocked up the other night to see how it fit, what I got left back here is brake lines, shocks, and I think that's it on this. And then from there I'll go into putting subframe connectors in. I'll get all this buttoned up real quick, and then from here out I'll go to the next part and show you what's going on. And the rear end is in. Everything is done on the rear end itself except bleeding the brakes. And I ended up getting the control arms on backwards. This plate actually has to go to the outside so you can bolt the sway bar to it that I forgot to paint a spot on. And I ended up getting, this one was on the other side and the other side was on this one. So I had to swap them real quick. Nothing major. Now the next step in the process is subframe connectors. What these are, they're just a piece of metal that welds between right here and right about here on the frame, the subframes, to actually connect these and make them more like a solid full frame car. And these are just cheap eBay ones. I bought these like 2 years ago and never put them in. And these actually come with a bracket that welds, that bolts in right here to the bottom of the seat, and then the bar runs through here and it all welds in. Simple, real simple to put in. Very highly recommend if you start making any sort of power. Now, I can't get my camera in a good enough spot to do a hyperlapse on this, so I'm just going to use TV Magic to get them in real quick. And here we go. So I got all the rear system, everything from here back done. I had to take the car out the other night, just circumstantial, and it started misfiring. So I've got to do some stuff to the motor. The rear end fits very well. As far as everything that I've done, it performs phenomenally. The problem is I will not get the drag shocks on the front like I want to. So I've got to do some stuff, fix this up, and I've got to get loaded for Ford Fest. I'm leaving day after tomorrow. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to save the drag shocks for a later video. That way I can actually take it to a closed location, get a good A to B video for you, and I'll even throw my draggy on it. So go ahead, follow my TikTok at ethanol573, Instagram at 573 Racing, Facebook 573 Racing, and of course you're already here at YouTube. The video for Ford Fest is coming up. I'm entered in the NMRA True Street class. I don't expect to win the class overall, but I am going to try to win the 15-second index, because as you saw in a previous video, this car actually runs consistent 15s, 15 O's, 14.9, right in there. So I'm going to see if I can bring home that win. Till next time.